Morning Facebook. There it is.
All right. Good morning, Miss Mary Schepp. Welcome, everybody, to Living Low Sodium. Today, Mary, you're going to help us all get inspired. Am I understanding that correctly?
I'm gonna try. It's okay. A little early in the morning for me to inspire anybody to do anything, but
well, here we are nonetheless, ready, willing, and eager to be inspired.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever I make something and someone asks, where do you get the idea to make this crap? Like, I get it everywhere. I get it. Not everybody likes or loves to cook like I do. That's my happy place. That's where I go. Good morning, Dad. So I get that you're not always looking for inspiration for things to cook. I, however, am. So of all places, for the last thing that I made to get inspiration from was the last place that you would think that I would be eating is a food truck. So Sticks and Noodles is a food truck in our area, and they were at an event that I did at the store this weekend with the local Chamber of Commerce, and they have it's a Filipino food truck. They have a dish called Inasal, which is just Filipino grilled chicken, but it's typically made with some like a glaze on it with ginger and brown sugar and Sprite or lemon lime soda, whatever you want to call it. Lemongrass, garlic, it's just marinated and then basted in, I hope I'm not going to pronounce this wrong, achote oil.
Okay.
So achote
I'll take your word for it.
Or annatto seeds are bright red. So they soak it in oil and they make this achote oil, which there's a million different, just like mole, you can make it a million different ways and every family has a different recipe and so on and so forth. But inspired me to why can't I make that at home?
All right.
And those kinds of flavors, any of the Asian flavor, I shouldn't say just Asian cuisine, most cuisines, you don't need the salt. Like especially if you're grilling, we've talked about the Maillard reaction. If you're grilling and you get that good sear, you don't need salt. You just don't. Good morning, Magda. When I see something that has ginger and garlic and onion, immediately I go, I can make this low sodium. I just can. Those flavors are in my wheelhouse. And especially if you ever see those memes that are, 1 clove of garlic and then it shows, me adding 16 bushels of garlic. That is exactly what I do all the time. There is never a time where the only time I use a single clove of garlic is if I'm using it raw in a salad, because raw garlic is really, really, really strong and a little bit spicy depending on the garlic species that you're using.
Yeah.
So like when I made good morning, Tim. I just talked to him the other day.
I talked to him yesterday.
He's a fabulously helpful insurance agent.
He's a cool dude.
So I make a water chestnut dip. I know water chestnuts are bland. They don't have a very powerful flavor, but they've got like a crunch to them. So I make a water chestnut ranch dip, and that is the kind of thing where in a big giant bowl, even one tiny little shaved clove of garlic is going to be very in your face pungent. So it's when you see stuff like that. So I'm sitting there and of course, I think this is fantastic. It was super salty because I don't have salt and it's a food truck. He's not going to sell food if his food isn't salted. I'm sorry, but that's the way the world is.
Yeah, true.
Which is why everybody's like, oh, how come restaurants don't try going low sodium? Because nobody would buy their product.
No, taste
wouldn't.
really bland,
They
and
wouldn't.
you'd be like, I could do this at home.
It took me a solid 2 months to get to the point where I had an unsalted palate.
I believe it.
So now that I'm there, it's perfectly fine for me. I can have either way. But for the vast majority of people who are going to keep you in business as a restaurant or a food truck or whatever, I hate to say it, but you have to salt your food. And that's why people don't have low sodium products, because even in the grocery stores, when you see something low sodium, I know because that's how I used to be.
Yeah.
You see the low sodium green beans versus the regular green beans, and you're going, oh man, I really don't. Like, if it's the only thing that's left, you hem and haw. Like, is there anything else I can buy other than the low sodium garbage crap?
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it, but that's where I get my inspiration, is places like that, because I'm sitting there going, there's no way I can't make this at home. And I did. And it was, I mean, I had to mishmash a recipe together because I'm not Filipino and I don't have a Filipino grandma who passed down a recipe.
Oh, that's a shame.
Through generations. Sorry for you. I know.
I don't know what we can do about that. Good morning, man. By the way, Lisa's tuning in all the way from Colorado this morning.
Oh, she's lucky.
So she actually started a brand new job.
Oh, even luckier. That's fantastic.
She's training there this week until next week, I think, sometime. But yeah, so good morning, Lisa, on Mountain Time.
Right, on Mountain Time.
Yeah, because I think it's like 6 a.m. there.
I think so. Yeah, I know. I get a lot of grief from some of my fellow low sodium followers because of the fact that my show is so early now. Because quite a few of them live 2 hours away.
Well,
or not 2 hours away, 2 hour time difference. So they're like, I like you, but I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to listen to you.
I can tell you're doing pretty darn well at this time slot. So
I think that so many people forget that the Facebook thing is a side thing.
Yeah, it's just we happen to be able to do it, so we do it. Facebook,
it's free,
YouTube,
so we do it.
Yeah.
But yes, the radio is, and apparently this is that's why I get up every morning and get here Gary gets to watch us now because he's in Singapore. So it's a good time for him.
Well, it's like, I think they're 13 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, so it's dinner time for him.
Yeah, dinner time for him. So he's already had his Thursday. He can let us know what happened today, and perhaps we can just go back to bed ourselves.
Right.
And not have to do it. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, I know. Facebook still says Eastern time on my post. It depends on who's looking at it, because depending on where you are, it says Eastern time, even though it's not. It says some say Central, some say Mountain time. It just depends on the time zone, because I've asked quite a few people across the spectrum.
Yeah. See, ours says Central because that's where we are.
Right. So, but it says the wrong time. So it still says, instead of correcting the time and saying 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I have two people that are in Pacific time. One is correct and one is not.
Gary's got the winning Powerball numbers.
Oh, can you share? I mean, we love you, Gary. Just share a little bit of that. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
He's got winning Powerballs.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sticks and Noodles, if you're ever in the McHenry County area, they're a food truck here. They're all over the place. And it's Filipino street food. So it's pretty much just grilled stuff with rice or noodles, because sticks and noodles.
They just give you sticks to eat the noodles, or
you can. Well, the sticks like skewered almost like shish kebab.
Oh, now I'm on board.
Yeah.
All right, I thought they were handing you sticks to eat the noodles.
No,
so
not chopsticks.
Sticks. Yeah. All right.
Although I suppose they would, but yeah, no. So, but it made me go home. Now, here's the funny thing: is where we're at. For those of you that don't live in the McHenry County area, we're in an area where you can drive, luckily, 20 minutes in any direction and find an Asian market or a Hispanic market. And no joke, I literally sent Sherwin, the owner of the truck, a message and said, where the hell do I find lemongrass? I can't find it anywhere at all. I was so frustrated. So I had to drive to Algonquin to Butera to get lemongrass, which that place, holy cow, talk about a foodie heaven. It's fantastic. But, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, and that's what a lot of times low sodium people complain about, because you'll see them post where they're, I'm going to make a trip today because it's a 45 or an hour long drive just to go to a Trader Joe's or a Costco or a Sam's Club or whatever. So they're trying to get insight into what those places sell, simply because they don't have those options. And you can't certain things you really can't order online that are fresh. You can some of them if you're in the right market. But if you live in the middle of nowhere, you're kind of limited. So we're lucky here because I have the ability to drive to a different market when I can't find it at my grocery store to get achote powder or achote seeds and lemongrass, which, I the seeds maybe not so much, but the lemongrass, I really thought that half of my grocery stores, I didn't think it was that exotic. And apparently it is. And I had to drive all the way across town 20 minutes to get two things.
What exactly is lemongrass?
It's a lemony grass.
So it's grass that just tastes lemony?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought it was very woody grass.
I thought it was going to be something way more exciting than that.
No, it's it's not. It's not as exciting as you think it is. It's just lemongrass, but it's.
I wonder who figured that out. Somebody had to be eating grass.
Well, it's
and they said, "Ooh, this is lemony."
It's I believe it's grown in tropical climates. So it's why you find it in a lot of Asian cuisine, Filipino cuisine, Hispanic cuisine, stuff like that. Because like Brazil and things, and then over in Asia is because that's where it's native. So there's just certain foods like pineapple sage. You touch the plant and it speaks its name. It smells like you just cracked open a pineapple.
Huh.
It's amazing. I used to grow it for my hummingbirds, and you can make tea and ice cream out of it, and it's absolutely fabulous. Yeah, but lemongrass, it's used in a lot of marinades. It's used in a lot of soups, stews, pretty much almost all Asian cuisine in some shape or form because the inside of it's super tender, so you can actually cook with it, and then use the woodier parts of it to use in marinades.
Gotcha. So. Okay.
But it just was funny because I'm standing there, and whenever I do something, most often my husband will ask me, are you gonna tell your low sodium friends that you're eating at food trucks? Sure, sometimes.
Sure, why not?
Like I've been doing this long enough that I'm healthy enough to where I can have that splurge. And I'm not going to lie, it was salty. For me, it was
probably a little tough. Huh?
It was high, but it wasn't so high that it ruined the meal for me. Oh. Because there's plenty of times where I eat something and flat out I can't finish it. I got to ruin the meal.
So you're eating things that you also use as insect repellent.
It's like citronella. So when you think of citronella candles from the citronella plant, that citrus lemon bugs don't bite.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right.
There's lots of things that are natural.
When I think insect repellent, I'm thinking
like DEET.
Yeah, stuff you're spraying on yourself that you have to not breathe while you spray, lest you become dead like the insect as well.
Right? Yeah. So. No, not quite that stuff, but it's that citrus component. There's certain types of plants and things. On a side note, that actually made me realize how much useless knowledge I have. Last night, my sister's friend posted something about peeling mushrooms. So as I'm responding to this post, right, the look on your face, if everybody could see the look on Pete's face of pure and utter confusion, why would you peel a mushroom?
Peel a mushroom? Yeah.
So I didn't think twice. I just started typing to respond that, most of us use baby mushrooms, baby bellas, baby whitecaps. Most of the mushrooms that we see in a grocery store are very young. Yeah. They're cultivated, they're grown, they're picked, they're very, very young. So they don't have a chance to get tough. Older mushrooms, the cap, and not all mushrooms, just certain species, that cap can get really woody. So you have to peel it. So it's not talked about as much, but if you're a chef and you are using organic ingredients, fresh ingredients, depending on the location in which you are and the type of mushrooms you are, you can. So I'm typing away, that sometimes that the older the mushroom, you have to peel it. And I start laughing thinking, I don't know where I learned that. I don't know where. I am not a classically trained chef.
But you have that knowledge nonetheless.
But somewhere across the course of my history, I learned that you need to peel mushrooms from time to time because the cap gets woody and it adds a fibrous taste to your dish. And you don't want that unless you do want that. But usually you don't. So I just thought it was funny. I'm thinking about all these stupid things that I I have knowledge of, and I have no idea. Maybe I was abducted by aliens. They just implanted it.
Here,
They gave me foodie knowledge.
This human needs to know about woody mushrooms,
right?
To save the world,
right?
So there you go.
When I'm 90 and save the planet because I knew you had to peel mushrooms, you can thank me.
Yeah, well, we'll do that. So, because when you're 90, I'll be over 100. So
see,
yeah,
maybe my peeled mushrooms will be the secret to your longevity.
It could be. We don't know. Now I'm going to go home and start peeling mushrooms just so I can live to over 100.
Or you're going to tell your wife that I think Mary's officially fallen off of her rocker and she's batshit crazy.
Nah. But why not?
Right.
I mean, because, portobellos though, those are huge. But are those?
They can
babies?
Get bigger.
They can get
bigger? I actually cook with baby. They call them baby bellas, but they're just young portobello mushrooms.
Yeah.
And as they get bigger, those caps get bigger.
Yeah.
Those tend to not get super tough on top. There's a couple of species of mushrooms.
I like a portobello sandwich.
Right. They are really good.
They're really good.
Right. But they don't really get woody. So it's just one of those things where I think most of the mushrooms that you or I or the average person use are not the species that gets tough like that. And I don't know where I got that knowledge, but I just know that I have it.
Are we way off track now because we're getting expired?
No.
No, we're getting inspired. We're not getting expired. We're getting inspired.
So
yeah.
I had,
wow. Time to wake up, Pete. There you go.
I had talked about it in the past. One of the beginning episodes that we did about copying things. And you can copycat just about anything. Like I copycatted sticks and noodles. But one that I've talked about in the past is Starbucks has a protein box. It's like $9 million. But it's good. It's just basic. It's a couple of hard-boiled eggs, some cheese, a fruit, and this little tiny bread biscuit style thing, and a little packet of peanut butter. And that's why they call it a protein box, because it's mostly protein, which makes a great breakfast. And I found that I love them. Well, we have a program through work that, I get free Starbucks points every once in a while, which is usually the only reason I get anything from Starbucks, because I'm not going to pay $6 for a latte.
Yeah.
So when it's free, I will.
There's only one drink I will pay $6 for that's in this county.
Is it a Bloody Mary?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, it's over at Conscious Cup in Crystal Lake, and it is their coffee with a cinnamon puck.
Yeah.
And it is the most angelic cup of coffee I have ever had in my life. But I only do it maybe twice a year because it's a $6 cup of coffee. And they have
a lavender honey latte that I will also
now that smells. Oh my! Because I've never tasted the lavender
really
honey latte. I've smelled it when other people have gotten it, and I'm like, oh my God,
it's amazing.
I would just set that in my house.
Yep.
And just let it permeate.
It's amazing.
But
so I will get it, and of course now I'm going to want one. So I'm probably going to go to Conscious Cup on my way home.
We'll go ahead and send Conscious Cup a bill for
for the advertising
this episode of
They just opened one in Cary by
they?
my house as well. So now they've got Crystal Lake and Cary. So I can hit them in both ways on the way home. But Starbucks has a protein box. So I because I get these free points, I tried it. And that was another thing that inspired me, because I went, this is really good. I like this. It's both something I could sit down and eat as an entire meal, or I could snack on it. And it's something that I could replicate easily as far as planning for meals or breakfasts or anything like that. So when I made it, I think I calculated it was $1.48. So for me to make, I think it was 6 of them, because, a dozen eggs in a thing. And to do 2 hard-boiled eggs, some slices of cheese, and some fruit, and those little bread cakes you can get. It's a cranberry bread cake thing. It literally looks like a miniature piece of bread. I found them at Fresh Time. So between buying everything to make this little box, it cost me $1.48. To pay $1.48 for a full breakfast or lunch meal is completely acceptable for me. Oh, that's hilarious.
I just felt that a disclaimer was necessary there for that portion of our live stream. So
Snickers,
because yes, they don't really get Woody he, but
we
type it a little differently here in the U.S.
Snickers.
So.
The other one that so my mother loves KFC. The woman is going to die with KFC in her fingertips.
I will tell you what, their crispy chicken sandwich, I enjoy. And their mashed potatoes and gravy.
So every time,
and their mac and cheese. So
every time I get KFC for my mom, inevitably, so I make her a plate, and I give her the plate, and what do you do after you're finished scooping stuff up? You lick the spoon.
Yeah,
you think I would know by now to not lick the spoon. Because every time I lick the spoon, and my niece gut laughs at me because it is so salty.
Now you're licking your own spoon, right?
Well, I don't eat it. I can't even.
Whose spoon are you licking?
My mom's.
Why are you doing that?
Because I make her a plate.
That's horrible.
It's not her spoon. I don't lick it and give it to her. I dish up everything for her.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Then,
you were giving me fits. You're giving me fits right then.
No, okay. no. I do not lick. No. Oh my God. That's gross.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
But no, when when I have one spoon and I'm not going to waste 4 spoons for mashed potatoes, macaroni, and gravy and all that. So you just dish everything up. And then at the end, I have a spoon with a bunch of macaroni and cheese and gravy and mashed potatoes. You're going to lick the spoon. And every time I have this horrible look on my face because it is like I just shoved.
You don't use a separate spoon for each item?
Nah. What, they're all going to end up in the same spot and they're all going to mash on your plate. It doesn't matter. And she's the only one that eats it, so it doesn't really matter. I know. I'm horrible.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around that one too.
So, but they have KFC has a mashed potato bowl. So it's potatoes, they're mashed potatoes and corn.
I've heard of it. I've never tried
little chunks of chicken and gravy on top and in a bowl. And when I could have salt, I used to get those once upon a time. So now I make them, and I've used that as an inspiration to make a mashed potato mashup all the time.
Mm.
So anytime I have, anytime I make mashed potatoes, I make a big batch. And then whatever we have in the house, if we had pulled pork the night before, tacos, anything, I don't care what it is, it can go on top of the mashed potatoes with cheese.
Oh.
Pork, like pulled pork.
Yeah.
Chili.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you want. If we have it, instead of making noodles, I'll just do a mashed potato bowl, and that's what my husband and I will eat.
All right.
So that's why I say you can steal that inspiration from anywhere, because I would never have thought back then that something like a KFC mashed potato bowl would inspire me. But now, the same with baked potatoes. Anything can go on a baked potato. So one of the things my husband and I absolutely love, I call it veg gravy. So every once in a while, I do try and have a meatless night because we eat way too much meat, and I'm okay with that. But I do try and sneak in a vegetarian night every once in a while. And we have I'll take, especially when everything's in season, onions, zucchini, tomatoes, asparagus, just the whole mash of vegetables, saute them in a pan and make a gravy in the pan. Mm-hmm. And pour that over a baked potato, and it's absolutely fabulous. And then, of course, cheese, because I put cheese on everything.
Why wouldn't you? I like cheese on everything as well. Gary's in love with KFC. And it's interesting because he calls them whipped potatoes.
A lot of people do.
And I've never heard anybody call it a whipped potato.
It depends on, it's like Coke versus soda or Pepsi or things like that. It's that same concept. Everybody, crick versus creek, kind of a tomato.
I suppose.
I guess growing up with a hillbilly family and not living in a hillbilly area, I heard a lot of people pronounce things differently, so it doesn't.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Missouri, in the Kansas City area.
Missouri.
And some people say Missouri, which is incorrect.
Illinois.
Oh, I hate that. Even before I moved to Illinois. I know you do. But at the same time, they say Des Plaines.
And not Des Moines.
And not, yeah, because it's Des Moines.
Right, but it's Des Plaines.
So, yeah, but Des Plaines, which drives me up a friggin' wall. But at any rate, now we digress once again.
We like to digress. It's my show. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Tell me about ginger. Because you got a lot of stuff.
See, you're biased because you just want to hear about ginger because you're a ginger.
I
So
am.
you focused right on ginger.
I did. I saw that and I'm like, ooh,
So,
yay. Gingers inspire.
It is.
Nolans. Yeah.
Nolans. So when it comes to things like that, like ginger, and people think of, at least when I ask people who aren't foodies and they will like ginger snaps, they think of cookies or they think of a tea, like ginger tea.
Yeah.
They don't, unless they like Asian food or cook Asian food, a lot of times people don't think of ginger. So whenever you see an ingredient or something that you haven't heard of, just search it up. What would I do with, or what can you cook with garlic? What can you cook with ginger? What can you cook with onions? What can you cook with lemongrass? If you put in there, what can I do with ginger instead, it'll give you both the cooking and the health benefits. And, you can rub it on a mosquito bite or whatever crazy thing that they can find that you can do with it. But, ginger is, I love ginger. I try to cook with it as much as possible. Half the time I forget that it's in my fridge and then it wilts to nothingness. But it belongs to the same family as turmeric and cardamom, which I love turmeric as well. Much like garlic, it can have a spicy taste when it's fresh, but it's very mellow when it's cooked. Mm-hmm. So there's two different components. And that's one reason why I love it, because very much like garlic, if I put it in a salad or a dip or something fresh and raw, it does give you that punch, that kick, and that little bit of spice, but it's not the stuff that makes ginger and garlic spicy is not capsaicin. So it's a different kind of heat.
Yeah.
And it doesn't linger as long. So it's
quite nice.
Right. And I've grown, and it cracks me up because now that I've turned my husband into a pompous foodie, anytime we see on the Food Network and someone's like, oh, you can taste the raw garlic in that. And he's, what the hell's wrong with that? That would be really good. I think that'd be tasty. Wouldn't that be tasty? It's like, you're getting mad at the TV because the judge yelled at him for having raw garlic in a salad. That's what I've done to my poor husband.
Well, I mean, but I've done that.
I love it.
If you like the flavor, because ginger itself, most people think, oh, it's going to be sweet. Ginger's not sweet.
When it's cooked, it can be sweet.
It can be sweeter.
Yeah.
But that's, again, because you've mentioned people think of ginger as a dessert type of food or additive or seasoning, and it's not actually sweet. It's a lovely, nice spice that will not knock you on your feet. Right.
And that's why, when you use it, I love it with marinades. It's just easy to use, but you don't realize, unless you're eating Asian food, that marinades, soups, sweet foods, desserts, curries, even cocktails. Mm-hmm. The only one that I could think of off the top of my head from my bartending days was a Moscow Mule, which has ginger beer.
Yeah.
Or a ginger whiskey, which is also really good because I was a whiskey drinker when I could still drink. But so when I looked up the recipe, trying to figure out how to make this inosol, almost all of them had the achote oil and ginger. I know ginger, but still a lot of people don't. So you just search it up. What do I do with ginger? What do I cook with ginger? Because once you buy a ginger root, if you don't use it all, why not expand upon that inspiration and make more dishes? So if you make the one dish that you discovered, but now you have an entire thing of ginger, an entire thing of achote seeds, or whatever it is that you just purchased, why not make other things? And that the same with the achote seeds. They're also called annatto seeds, which are typically steeped in a cooking oil to make an achote oil or lard, infusing them with a color and flavor. So a lot of times when you see certain Asian dishes and they're bright red, it's not necessarily a dye. It's a dye from those achote seeds. So when they cook it or baste it with that oil, that red oil is what gives it the red flavor or the red color, and it has a mild flavor. So, but the paellas, meats, soups, stews, it's it's used in a lot of dishes, both from Asia and Brazil and Philippines, and it's pretty much any warm, nice, beautiful place uses it. I'm living in the wrong climate.
Apparently. So, but I mean, yesterday was a nice day, though.
It was, and my sunburn is finally starting to go away. I literally, the last 20 minutes of the event that we had at my store last Saturday, and I went to do some rounds to talk to a couple of the vendors, and in that 20 minutes, all day, in and out, in the sun, and it was just that last 20 minutes, and I got lobster fried.
Oy.
Yeah.
Oy. It looked like you had a nice group out there. I saw a few pictures up on...
Yeah, we had 2 food trucks, Sticks and Noodles and Joe and Dough. So they do little mini donuts, which are amazing. 69 vendors, I believe. The fire department, police department, they were all out there. It was a good time.
That's cool.
So the one thing that I like to do is I like to either look it up or ask other people what they grew up with. Because it's just fun to learn. And right as I was looking up some different things and different recipes and new things to get me inspired to make some other stuff this week, I saw someone post, do you eat peanut butter, mayonnaise, and lettuce on a sandwich?
How about no?
Right. And a lot of people chimed in and said that they eat peanut butter and mayonnaise, but I don't think anybody...
Peanut butter and mayonnaise?
See, the peanut butter and mayonnaise doesn't gross me out as much as the peanut butter and lettuce.
Well, see, here's the thing. I've actually had, as a kid, in a pinch when we had no celery, my mom would make lettuce pocket. And so there was peanut butter and lettuce, and it's very, you get a little bit of crunch. It's very much like peanut butter and celery. So there's not really that much of a difference there. So
Gary says must be a challenge keeping the police department away from the donut truck.
So, well, you know.
Dun.
So I've even done that myself as an adult when I don't have any of that and I just want something real quick and I want a little bit of a snap to it. You throw it on the kind of like the bottom end of a leaf of lettuce.
I guess that I would get that with the crunch. Yeah.
And you get a bit of and it's very, very similar to celery and peanut butter.
I would get that.
You know, and like, because you don't like the strings from celery. So you might actually even like that much more so than the...
See, I would just eat the peanut butter straight on a spoon. I don't need a vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, so that isn't the mayonnaise. Who the hell puts mayonnaise on? That sounds horrible. That sounds absolutely disgusting.
See, every time I try and
mayonnaise with peanut butter,
I guess I always try to be
in your brain.
Well, I gotta be open minded about it a little bit, just because I'm the kind of person who would put ketchup on macaroni and cheese. And
no, I've done that.
See,
that's actually good. And even if you ever chopped up tomatoes and popped them in mac and cheese, that's not bad.
Or like pasta and peas.
I've done that.
So pasta and peas is actually, I think it's from Naples.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. But you think of so many of the dishes, the comfort foods around the world are those born out of necessity, as they say. Because
I'll do up some ramen noodles and I'll throw in a can of peas, a can of carrots, a can of corn.
See, you eat vegetables.
And now I didn't much. I'm actually much more open to the veg than I ever used to be. I'm learning because I have to. In fact, I've been eating non-meat.
The impossible stuff.
I don't know what it's called. My wife found it. It's 100% not meat. The texture is sort of weird, but it actually tastes really good. It literally tastes like I'm eating a burger, but I don't have to worry about a visit from the gouts later on. And I'm okay with the texture. It took a little getting used to.
I'm glad that there's a product out there. I'm still the proponent of.
Yeah, that's my mom. And, we got peanut butter on it. Yep. I still do that as well as an adult. Peanut butter on an apple.
Right. And that's what I think is funny is.
Every great once in a while, not frequently.
When you have something like that, and my favorite is when Andrew Zimmern from Bizarre Foods, And he was in some country abroad, and he's, he literally had a jar of peanut butter. And he's like, everybody asks how I'm okay trying all of these different foods and cuisines, and how you can't judge like the mayonnaise and peanut butter, what one person will eat.
No.
Because where he was at, and he's asking these kids, like, you want to try peanut butter? And they're looking at him like if you just tried to give squid to a kid here or something like that, or,
Well, my mom tells the story of, Wendy Munson, my mom, when she first came over here and was served her very first peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and she thought it was the worst thing in the world. She was like, "Oh my God, is this what I have to eat when I'm here in America? Because this is horrible."
So the other, a German friend of mine, it was right after I had gotten diagnosed with liver disease, and I had made a comment that, my goal is to try and find out how to make a good bread, which I have now successfully done. I am very proud of my bread. It tastes fantastic, and it doesn't have any salt in it. But at the time,
that apple bread you brought in here was friggin' phenomenal.
So, but the funny thing is to her, it wasn't good. And I was like, really? You don't even, because back then when we were talking about different breads, and she says, I don't like any of the breads in the supermarket, because what she grew up on was even more hearty than our heartiest whole wheat, seeded 9-grain bread, where it's thick and dense and it's got seeds still. Like, that's what she grew up on. So nostalgia for her is this big, thick, dense chunk, like a bread.
I'm just learning to eat that bread.
Right.
Versus white. Because I love me some good old one. We can't even buy it now. Good old fashioned Wonder Bread. Right. The whitest of white breads.
Right. And squishy.
Yeah.
Right.
Love that stuff. But you can't even, the best you can do is find really super cheap white bread to get close to that. But I'm now actually, in fact, I packed my lunch today with deli sliced bologna, and it's some German bologna, something like that. But it's on the multi-grain brown bread that has the nuts and twigs and stuff in it.
Nuts and twigs.
So, but
well, that's what's funny.
I'm learning to eat that stuff. It's
my sisters are not huge fans of bologna, and I don't know why. Because that was all that was ever in my house was bologna.
Maybe that's why they don't like it. I don't know.
I'm right, but it's funny because they don't and I do. So if I could still, every once in a while, Boar's Head has a mortadella that is low enough in sodium that I can eat it. And mortadella is essentially just Italian bologna. So I will buy it. Ben can't stand it. It's not that he can't stand it. If it's on like an Italian sub or something like that, he'll eat it. But to just go out of his way to have a bologna sandwich, probably not. But it's that Andrew Zimmern episode is where he's literally trying to get these kids to eat, or even parents, anybody to eat this peanut butter. But because wherever he was at, they've never seen it. Like, why would you grind up peanut butters? And they're looking at, like you just said, they're looking at him like, what snapped in your brain to grind up peanut? Why wouldn't you just eat the peanuts? Why do you need to grind them up? So then he's explaining the things that those kids eat. And it's as you're looking at things from around the world where you or I would go, why would you eat soup for breakfast?
Oh, yeah, that seems really weird.
But if you go over into Asia in ramen bowls and pho, and it like that's everything soup. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, it's soup all the time, every time.
All the time, every time. Soup.
So, or chilaquiles is often eaten breakfast.
I don't know what that is.
It's, I believe, like tortilla crisps, almost like tortilla chips, like corn tortilla chips, but they're strips usually. And they're coated in salsa, like literally full blown coated in salsa. And that's chilaquiles. But a lot of people put a fried egg on, like a sunny side egg on top, and eat it for breakfast. Well,
the egg I can get into. The tortilla chips would be a little weird for breakfast for me. But I've put salsa on eggs before.
Right.
Especially scrambled eggs. That's actually pretty good. Gary says we do eat porridge. I haven't heard anybody actually call it porridge in a long
That's
long
popular
time.
Overseas, a porridge with an egg inside.
Really?
Like, to me, it looks gross.
I mean, I love oatmeal. I really do love oatmeal.
porridge is much soupier than oatmeal, but
yeah, it is. Well, I mean, porridge
and I can't
is
do
more
it's
like
a
the
textural
cream
thing.
of wheat, and because I love cream of wheat, I used to absolutely, and I can't find it anymore. If anybody can find it, let me know. Cream of wheat, chocolate cream of wheat, or malto meal. Oh my God, I love malto meal.
See, it's a textural thing for me, but it's funny because like the chipped beef on toast, shit on a shingle.
Oh yeah, I've had that.
That's just, I don't know if it's because I have a military family or the area in which that my parents grew up in, but it wasn't something that I found uncommon. But then to find out my friends or anybody else had no idea, and it's so funny to me to hear that somebody else so close. It's not like, my friends are living in Brazil. They grew up here. So when I was growing up, and to find out so many different cuisines from so many different areas. The one that I wanted to try was, I think it's pronounced zimmies.
Huh.
It's a Jewish dish, or Yiddish Jewish. It's roasted carrots and root vegetables with a dried fruit like prunes or raisins.
Huh.
Which to me sounds absolutely fabulous because I make a bourbon glazed
and
carrot.
That's a breakfast thing?
No, it's just a dish that's a nostalgic dish, not necessarily breakfast.
All right.
I suppose you can eat anything for breakfast, but as I'm looking at, or poutine is again not necessarily a breakfast dish, but it's a nostalgic comfort food. In France or French Canadian, it's literally fries with like pork or beef or whatever, like pulled pork and gravy, or just fries and gravy. And most times it comes with cheese curds or some kind of cheese on top.
Huh.
I don't care what it is. If you're going to tell me that there's potatoes and gravy in it, I will probably eat it.
Yeah, I could be there with you on that.
Right.
Yeah, potatoes and gravy, and potato in any form.
Right.
Especially if they're tots.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm down for tots and gravy, tots and cheese, tots and tots with extra tots on top of tots.
Right.
I'm good with that. So.
Well, that's what's funny. The overseas I think it's in the United Kingdom.
UK, yeah. Okay.
They have Smiley Potatoes.
Hmm.
So I don't know if they come with the chicken nuggets or if they're just like the chicken nuggets, but it literally is a potato round with two little holes for eyes and a little smiley face. And they're cooked just like chicken nuggets would be. And it's a nostalgic dish for people from the UK. And I thought that was like, I want smiley potatoes.
You can get those here.
Right. I was like, who doesn't want smiley potatoes?
Fry them up. And we used to get those for the kids when they were little.
Right.
So, and it's like a mashed potato on the inside. It's not like a,
no,
it's not like a
it's not like a tot.
No. It's quite different, but
yeah,
they used to eat them.
What was the other one? Something in soldier and eggs. Soldier eggs. The pieces of toast.
Yeah,
strips, and then the heart, the soft
my grandmother,
egg.
my mom's mom, my grandma Moore would make strips of toast that you in a soft boiled egg, and you dip it. Yeah, soldiers or what, and I remember she called it that too. But buttered toast, and then you dip it in the egg and eat. Oh, I love that. And she had this little chicken egg holder.
Yep,
that was my absolute favorite thing. Yep. And of course, that's who knows who has that now. I love that chicken egg holder and the little right.
You just crack the shell, and
I see. To me, those things look so difficult to eat because I'm
eggs and
shoulders.
Yeah. Soldiers.
Eggs
and it's really easy
shoulders.
to say eggs and shoulders. What are you putting eggs on your shoulders? What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh,
put them in your mouth. Eggs and soldiers.
I love everything about that, and it can be terrifying too at the same time, because especially when I remember in my early 20s when I would do dinner with somebody else's family.
Yeah.
And sometimes the things that come across your plate, and I think back, and something so simple as cottage cheese. I had dinner with the guy I was seeing at the time. I had dinner with his parents, and I thought it was so weird because they made my plate. So I was just like, okay, I've never had somebody make, like, unless you're at a restaurant, I've never had someone other than my parents make me a plate of food and put it before me. So then I was okay, sure, I'll eat all of that then. You don't want to be rude. You want to at least try them. there's like roast chicken and all a normal dinner plate with a salad on the side and a big, huge chunk of cottage cheese, which with what the meal was at the time,
Just seems
just
odd.
didn't fit. And I hated cottage cheese.
Oh, do you?
I do. I like it now, but growing up, it was a texture thing. I didn't, even though I love cheese, I just didn't. But here I am sitting with this plate. So of course I tried it. And eventually that was my path to actually finding out that as my palate changed, I liked cottage cheese.
Yeah.
But I still remember thinking how odd it is. But if that's how you grew up and that's all you knew, you know, how can you judge somebody else's habits or patterns or what they like or don't like simply because it's not something that you've experienced?
Right.
So I love the fact that food can, you know, just subtly open your eyes to new platforms, new people, and it kind of forces you to go into new things without even realizing it. Because half the time you're like, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but sure, I'll try it.
Yeah.
Why not have a bite or two? I wish people did that with the rest of the things in their life, but most of the other uncomfortable things in your life aren't quite so tasty.
I mean, at this point, unless it's something I know that I just absolutely detest. Because I even tried some Brussels sprouts on something not so long ago. I can't remember. At my in-laws' 50th wedding anniversary.
I love Brussels sprouts.
It was like some kind of Brussels sprout thing, and I'm like, it's on the plate. I'll try it. I'll eat it. It was actually not too bad. It was like it's chilled. They were cut in half, and they had some kind of stuff on them. And I actually also tried recently Brussels sprout wrapped in bacon, and I was not.
Those are good.
I was not disappointed in that because it really just tasted like a bunch of bacon. The Brussels sprout flavor wasn't there.
If you're not a cabbage lover, then there's not much that you're going to force someone to do.
I like coleslaw, but I'm not.
But that's usually made with a much more bland cabbage.
True.
Than sprouts.
Yeah.
Sprouts.
And I'm not big, and I don't mind sauerkraut if it's on corned beef, you know, or a Reuben.
So I've discovered that Boar's Head makes, for all you low sodium people like me out there, Boar's Head makes a sauerkraut that it's 135 milligrams or something. It's in the realm of doable sodium levels that we can eat for those of you that love sauerkraut. I absolutely love. So the picture that I used for this week's show is a sandwich that I made on my own bread from my own recipe. It's the same. It's a variation of the bread that I always serve you guys. It's just a white bread. But depending on the ratios of things that you put in it, it either turns out to be a fluffy white bread or a, thing, like a crusty burger bun. So that was my homemade bread, but the lunch meat on there is Boar's Head. The Boar's Head has their low sodium product line is absolutely fabulous. Swiss cheese and the slaw. I've really taken to liking a slaw on my salad. Because if I put a slaw on my salad, then I don't necessarily put mayonnaise or anything else because there's no need to, because it's in the slaw. And a lot of the slaws I make have either a sour cream or a yogurt-based dressing versus anything else. So that particular slaw is a broccoli slaw. So I cheat and buy the broccoli mix because you can buy it at the store pre-made, and just like coleslaw.
Yeah.
You can buy the mix pre-made in the bag. Broccoli, the shaved, like the stem part that's got a little bit more bite to it. So it's literally shredded just like you'd see in a coleslaw bag with carrots and purple onions, so that then I mix it with, I have a honey mustard vinaigrette that essentially I just add yogurt to, so it's creamy, and that becomes my coleslaw dressing. And if you pay attention, there are quite a few coleslaw dressings that are fairly low in sodium that are doable. The problem is they're high in sugar, which is why I tend to mix mine with a honey mustard, because I think I've mentioned this a couple times. The last probably 6 months or so, since I discovered with my Fresh from the Farm McHenry County group that it is so unbelievably easy to find local honey that now if I eat sugar at all, it's anytime I add sugar to a dish, it's through honey. So everything that I have doesn't have sugar in it unless it's natural. Like carrots obviously have sugar, fruits and vegetables, they have sugar in them. But
you don't add refined or granulated or whatever.
I don't add, even in my breads, I stopped adding sugar. I started using honey. So my dressings, my breads, everything that I have, I use honey or maple syrup, which I also get fresh from somebody locally that is not
Where are you getting fresh maple syrup?
You need to check and fresh from the farm in Henry County because there's plenty of people here that tap their own. And just about every farmer's market, there's somebody that has fresh, fresh maple syrup. There's quite a few farms around here that offer it, but you can get all of that stuff right now. So because of the pollen, because it's been so dry here, a happy side effect, the beekeepers, so Willie's Bees is one of the beekeepers in my Fresh from the Farm group. He's literally selling his honey by the 5-gallon bucket. They are producing it faster than he can spin it out.
Wow.
Because we have, everybody that lives around here knows that with as dry as it's been, we have, the pollen has been insane. The tree seeds, the pollen seed, all of it has been absolutely nuts. So the bees are loving the crap out of it. So they literally, he damn near is about to give it away. He has so much honey. So there was a couple people that were asking if he would sell it by the barrel. And he's like, yeah, I probably could if you want to, but it's going to be heavy.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, he's one of the biggest,
light.
He's one of the biggest bee keeper honey purveyors in the area.
Where is he located?
McHenry.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, Willie's Bees. Mine are from Annabelle's Bees. I get mine. She sells hers over at the, Fiddlesticks in McHenry. She's got a little stand there in Fiddlesticks that she sells hers. So it's just.
Oh, that's just right. Okay.
But everybody, and that's the thing is I didn't realize how much, and I knew how much was local. So until I created that group, I didn't realize how much was local. Like you said, where do you get local maple syrup? And suddenly as I'm finding, I can, like my mushroom lady that gets me lion's mane mushrooms, absolutely fantastic.
Wow. That's cool. I did not know we had a local maple syrup. So.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit. So the last thing that I like to mention is it's easy to get in your routine and go to your grocery store and go to your market. But even if you're not going to buy anything, if you're looking for inspiration, go to a different market. Go to an Asian market or a Hispanic market or any, go there, out in Mount Prospect area, there's a bunch of different delis.
Yeah.
You go to these places and when you see something that you don't know what it is, like a prickly pear, you're like, okay. And Google it. Find out what you can make with it. Or even in your local market, people walk past, they have this little itty bitty pockets of like lychees and stuff like that. Just search it up and see what it is, see what you can make with it. And it's amazing. The things that you can get inspiration from just in your own store, the things that you can make. But when you go to a different market, and yes, the chances that you're going to see something odd like pig's feet or beef tongue, because a lot of cultures cook with that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It is extremely common. So don't be shocked by those kinds of things, but it's.
Gary was just saying that honey and maple syrup are expensive there because they're not locally grown.
So one of my best friends spent a few years in Okinawa. Her husband is military. She's currently in Brazil is where they're stationed. And then she's moving back to Florida here soon. And the one day I sent her a picture because I'm like, yeah, I don't eat mangoes a lot. And I know you love tropical fruit because she's originally from Florida. So I was like, what can I do with these? And she sends back, I hate you so much right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she sent me a picture of the mangoes at her market, it was 2 mangoes and it was like $37. I was like, I only bought one, and the lady had to figure out how to mark it because it was like 6 for $1 or something at our store. And but because of the fact that, you know, it's an island. So everything's imported. You have to be careful of what you import because you can import other things that you don't want to import.
Right.
And so, I mean, I get why it's so expensive, but holy crap, could you imagine? And that would really stink to grow up on certain foods. You know, if you grew up on mangoes or peanut butter or whatever like that, honey and maple syrup. And if all I do is cook with honey and maple syrup, and then I decide I'm going to move to the Philippines and go, holy crap.
Yeah.
I suddenly can't cook with what I want to cook with because you can't get that. Pig trotter boil. Yeah. The collagen, the sticky stuff that makes your fingers stick together when you eat it.
Okay.
Those are, I mean, I wouldn't say acquired taste, but I guess it's things like that. I think of like liver or like lamb. So depending on where you grew up will determine whether or not you like those things. Because if your family was prone or in an area that lamb was more popular, or in a culture that lamb was more popular, or venison. So when people look at me like, I don't know how you like venison so much. I ate it all the time. Like it wasn't abnormal. So if it's something from your childhood, it's really not. But if you didn't grow up eating game meat at all,
Yeah, game meat, it has a very distinct flavor.
Right. And
it really does.
Especially if all you've ever eaten is store-bought ground beef.
Yeah.
Anything else is going to taste, it's like whole milk. If you grew up on whole milk and somebody gives you 2% milk, or vice versa, if you grew up on 2% milk and someone gives you whole milk, you're going to be like, this is thick. Why is this thick? Did it go bad?
Yeah, no, and I love whole milk, and someone gives me 2% or skim milk, I'm like, what is this white water? This is disgusting. Why'd you give me white water?
Right.
That's gross.
I can't do it.
So,
but it's funny because when I went to Butera the other day to get to get lemongrass and achote seeds, at that exact moment, my husband had called me. I was like, all right, I'm heading out. And I look at the clock and realize, like, holy crap, I came in here for 2 things. I'm only 4 aisles into this store. Like, I could literally, it's huge. I could have stayed there all afternoon going aisle by aisle by aisle, just reading labels and ingredients going, what the hell is that? I want to find out what that is. Like, I've never heard of that. You know, especially when something has what it's the colloquial name for it or something of that. Like when, like Gary was talking about pig trotters and someone's going, what's that?
What's a pig trotter? Yeah.
So their section of lettuce. So the produce wall is 3 times as long as the one at my Jewel. And it was just different kinds of lettuce. It's like 40 feet of like 300 kinds of Boston lettuce, romaine lettuce, dandelion greens, mustard greens, collard greens. Like, holy crap. I could sit here for an hour just researching what all of this crap is just to be like, what can I make with this?
Jeez.
So I will be back to that because I've only been in there a couple times. And it was all before.
Is that over on like Randall or something?
Yep.
Butera?
Algonquin Road in Randall.
Algonquin, I think I've seen that over there.
But it's the amount of their deli, the butcher, same thing. The counter is just huge. I'm going, I would be so dangerous in this store. And it's the same when I lived in downtown Chicago. I used to love that. You'd find these little corner delis and stuff like that all over the place and go, wow, they have like containers of lard. But when you need it, that's how you get those little pockets of ethnicity in your cities, especially bigger cities. So we're lucky here in that aspect that I got inspiration around every corner. Yeah. So if you guys want to find me, mylosolifestyle.com, My LoSo Lifestyle Facebook page, 216 The Net Facebook page, website, YouTube, all of us. And please subscribe to our YouTube. The more subscribers we have, the more things and luxuries we are afforded on YouTube.
Yep, that's the way it works.
You can also download the app for the radio station and listen to us on the radio station and all of the other lovely shows that we have on the radio station anytime.
Yeah, absolutely you can. So until next time.
With me.
Until next time. My I keep wanting to call you still My LoSo Lifestyle.
That's okay.
Living low sodium with Mary Schepp.
Yeah.
There you go. Till next time, which is next week, Thursday. Here you go. Have fun. Have a wonderful day.
Do, 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 do.